We gon' take a sip of Ace of Spade like it's water. I've been on the money in the sand, but you daughter. If she catch me cheating, I will never tell her sorry. If she catch me cheating, I will never tell her sorry.
We doing a lot of videos, so I'm at that point right now where camera's right there, where just really tired. Okay, so even though Canelo comes into the ring closer to 180 pounds or so, Liam Smith, it's a whole bunch of those Smith brothers. Liam Smith is a fighter who has fought at super middleweight. Now, he's fought as low as 148, according to Box Rec, but he's fought as high as 157. Now, looking at his weigh-in results, he spent a good portion of his career over the 154-pound limit. The last time he did weigh 154, or fighting a 154-pound fight, was in March of last year, 2006, and he was 157.5. His opponent 158. The point I'm trying to make is Caleb Smith, in my opinion, is going to be the bigger, like a fighter that's not small, a fighter that's going to come into the ring around the same size, if not, could be bigger than Canelo Alvarez. Now remember, this fight is taking place at 154 pounds. This is not at Canelo weight. Canelo weight is on hiatus right now. The first fight Canelo Alvarez had at 155 pounds was when he fought Alfredo Angulo after he had lost to Floyd Mayweather. And what happened was the fight was contracted to be at 154 pounds, but Canelo couldn't make weight. So on the weigh-in day, just before the weigh-in, actually after the weigh-in, they did some maneuvering. After the weigh-in, the contract was changed to the fight to be at 155 pounds. And Canelo had to pay Alfredo Angulo, I forgot, like 100,000, maybe more, I forgot. What's that? So, since then, he fought Erislandy Lara at Canelo weight, James Kirkland at Canelo weight, Miguel Cotto at Canelo weight, and now he's back at 154 pounds because why? It was getting too hot for him to stay at Canelo weight. It was getting too hot. Like fans were, saying, well, listen, motherfucker, you can't have your own weight division. You can't have your own weight division. If you're over the 154 pound limit, if you're 154.00000000001, you're over the 154 pound limit. So, post-fight interviews started getting hot and heavy because, when it came to James Kirkland, when it came to Miguel Cotto, and, when it came to Amir Khan, every post-fight interview was, when you going to fight Gennady Golovkin? Every post-fight press conference, when you going to fight Gennady Golovkin? Media day, when you going to fight Gennady Golovkin? And you can't respect the fact that Mexican warriors don't just give up their belt. He gave up his belt. He helped another fighter become a unified champion. In the NBA, players don't respect players who chase rings. For example, Kevin Durant is getting a lot of shit because it's like, you're supposed to beat the Warriors, not join them. He helped another fighter chase history and becoming an undisputed champion. Now, I understand what Canelo is doing. Here's the lowdown. Canelo is also in talks to fight Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders has been trying his best to, and Frank Warren, mostly Frank Warren, trying his best to put him in against somewhat good competition, but not competition that can likely beat him and destroy his big money fight with Canelo in the future, which is rumored to be, they're saying it's going to happen December the 10th on HBO. It's not going to be pay-per-view. Also, we don't know where it's going to be. The big money is over in the UK. They're talking about putting it down in, maybe Mexico City, but it's going to be a big venue fight. So, you have a situation where you have Canelo, who vacated his title and now he's fighting for the WBO title at 154 pounds. But then he can't hold on to the WBO championship for long because you have a guy like Demetrius Andrade, that's his belt, former WBO champion at 154 pounds, who is very close to being a mandatory if he chooses to go the WBO route. And I say, listen, why not chase the big money Canelo? Why not chase him down? Talk to the WBO. Tell him, listen, I want to be number one. Well, he already is. I think he's ranked number one. Like, oh, listen, put me in an eliminator, and I want the winner of Canelo versus Smith. Or he's going to have to drop the belt. So what's going to happen is, from my understanding, he's going to fight, if he beats Liam Smith, and Liam Smith has a chance to win. I'm going to talk about it. If he beats Liam Smith, then he's going to fight Billy Joe Saunders. If Billy Joe Saunders beats Gabriel Rosado, who's supposed to be on the undercard, nothing signed yet, but that's what they're talking about, in December, and he'll be WBO champion at 160 pounds. And he'll be able to have like a bullshit fight to defend his title in May, unless they say you have to fight, Demetrius Andrade and then Golovkin in September. So, if Canelo gets that WBO title, it will make him much more of a bargaining chip for a fight with Golovkin. Because he can say, I got a belt that you want. And Golden Boy knows this, And they can say, he wasn't just ready just yet, and, they can say, well, look, the Golovkin fight happened. I believe the fight's going to happen, but what I don't believe in boxing is verbal agreements. For example, David Haye just pretty much fucked over Shannon Briggs. He's not fighting him. He got him to fight on the undercard, basically promising him that he would fight him next in September. And David Haye is moving on to bigger and better things. Now, Liam Smith is not. He's not a bad fighter. He was having troubles with who was that? John Thompson? Was it John Thompson or John Jackson? I get him confused. Give me a minute. John Thompson. But he knocked him out. He has power. And even though he only has 13 knockouts, I have to point out that he's going to be a bigger fighter than, of course, like naturally, of course, Amir Khan, bigger than Cotto, James Kirkland, but he was just a stiff, walking blob. Erislandy Lara, he's going to be bigger than Alfredo Angulo. He's better than Alfredo Angulo, and in my opinion, he's better than James Kirkland. What's going to be the big defining factor is his chin. Is he going to be able to take those tough shots? But we're just going to have to see, man. We're just going to have to see. Should this fight be on pay-per-view? For Canelo to make the money that he's making in boxing, Canelo can't have no more $1.5 million paydays. In this day and age, you're not making no more than $2 million, to be fighting on regular TV. Not this year, especially on HBO, with their budget cuts and shit. So, it had to be on pay-per-view. The undercard is pretty much falling apart. Billy Joe Saunders is supposed to be fighting Gabriel Rosado. But remember, we're less than a month away from the fight. Well, a little over a month away from the fight. And we don't know who's on the undercard confirmed. You have Luis Ortiz, who's supposed to be taking on Alexander Ustinov, but Luis Ortiz is pissed with Golden Boy, and I'm going to save that for my next video. But stay tuned. There's going to be HBO 24/7, Canelo versus Smith. There's going to be a HBO face-off, if I'm correct, with Canelo versus Smith. And like I said, I pretty much laid out the plan for you. If he wins, he goes on to face Billy Joe Saunders. If he wins, and that'll be a super fight that he can make big money, especially if it's over in the UK or if it's in if it's in Mexico. I've heard that Box Nation is experimenting or trying to do some type of pay-per-view something over there. I'm not from over there, but I do know that that if you don't have a subscription during fight night, that you have to pay like 30, which I call over the quid, like 30 quid for a fight, some shit like that. But I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. Once we get to HBO 24/7, I'm going to talk a lot more about Liam Smith. I do think he has a chance. He has a chance, but then again, what fighters don't have a chance? But he has a chance. It's going to depend on his chin and some other things. Please subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. All the links to my social media right there below in the description box. I have a website launching, fightview360.com. It's going to be a completely different entity. It's not going to be, T Street Controversy Live. But I just thought I'd put it out there. Stay tuned. More news will follow.